To overcome your porn addiction, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to make a distinction between porn and masturbation. A lack of distinction between those two things might be the reason why you keep relapsing, and it's one of the ways in which the NoFap community is letting a lot of people down. So to explain why this is so important, let's think of the difference between cigarettes and food. So with cigarettes, they are a highly addictive substance, basically manufactured for addiction. And I think we can safely say that one, most people who start smoking become addicted to it, and two, they'd be better off without it. As we all know, smoking is spectacularly unhealthy, so really anyone who has a smoking habit would be better off if they didn't have that habit. And this, by the way, is also, I think, a good definition of what an addiction actually is. It is any kind of behavior that is harmful to you and that you can't stop doing despite the negative consequences it has on your health, on your life, and so on. And it's generally something that you want to stop, but you can't, right? You find yourself unable to behave the way you want to. Cigarettes are a great example here too, because almost everyone who smokes wishes they didn't. You speak to smokers, basically all of them wish they could quit, have tried to quit many times, and have been unable to. Now let's compare that to food. We all need food to live, we all need to eat, but food can be addictive. There are people who have an eating disorder of some kind, who, for example, compulsively binge eat, overeat, and it is in the same way like we just talked about, it's an addiction. Eating too much, overeating, binge eating, or other eating disorders are bad for your health. And the people who do this wish they could quit, wish they could do differently, wish they had a healthy relationship with food, but they can't seem to make that happen. However, there's a very important difference between cigarettes and food, which is that with cigarettes, almost everybody who does it is addicted and everybody would be better off if they didn't do it. Whereas with food, we all eat and most of us are not addicted. Most of us don't have a horrible, crippling, health-destroying relationship with food. Most of us just eat food and it's fine. This is very much like the difference between porn and masturbation. Porn is highly addictive. It is designed to be addictive. It hijacks your brain in a way that your brain isn't protected against. And you can watch my video about hyperstimulation to understand more about how that works. So porn is like the cigarettes in that it does something to your brain that gets you hooked. Most people, especially most men who use porn, use it addictively, use it more than they would like to, can't really control themselves, use porn in such a way that it is causing problems in their life. That's very common with porn. But masturbation is more like food in our previous example. We all seek and need some form of sexual play, of sexual pleasure or sexual release. And masturbation is one of the ways in which when you're single, you can deal with that. If you imagine a world before porn, which wasn't that long ago, a world before everybody had access to excessive free porn, lots of people were masturbating. Most people were masturbating. But very few people had some kind of an addiction. Very few people were doing this so much that it caused problems in their lives. So to quit your porn addiction, making this distinction between porn and masturbation is very important. And we'll look at how to do that in practice in just a moment. Let me clarify something here. Like I mentioned, this is one of the things that I see going wrong in the NoFap community. But I have to say, overall, I don't want to badmouth the NoFap community just for the sake of it, and I don't think it's a bad thing, right? I think the NoFap movement, it's great that it emerged as like a counter to the crazy amounts of porn that became available. And I know that it has helped loads of people. So I'm not criticizing NoFap as a bad thing. It's just that I also know that it has failed a lot of people. So listen, if NoFap has worked for you, that's great. Congratulations. That's all good. But I know that lots of people try it and keep trying and keep relapsing and are struggling. And I'm offering an alternative here that I know works better. So in the NoFap mindset, you have porn and masturbation and orgasm PMO. That's one problem. And you quit and you try and get a streak that's as long as possible, right? So it's like who's been sober longer. It's almost like a competition. My streak is 10 days, my streak is 30 days, my streak is hundreds of days, my streak is thousands of days. And everybody's trying to get this long streak and you can't break the streak, right? If you relapse once, it's like it resets to zero. and you failed and it's a big disaster. But here's the problem. You're actually trying to quit two separate things, okay? There's the use of porn, which is the thing that happens in front of some screen, going to the website, scrolling, browsing, watching, etc. And there's masturbation, which is a separate thing. And even maybe all your life you've been doing these two things together. But these are two separate things. Now, when you quit both of them, you will have an urge for both of them. And again, in your mind, this might be fused together. But part of you is the part of your brain where you have built the habit. This is a habit loop where whatever your process is, right? You go to your room, you lock the door, you get out the screen, you get out the lotion, whatever it is that you do, but you have some process, and that's become habitual, that involves watching porn. And your brain wants to repeat that cycle because you've practiced it so much, and you expect that kind of stimulation. That's part of the struggle, is trying to overcome that. But there's another part, which is your completely natural sexual drive. If you're a healthy male, you have a sex drive. And the longer you go without any kind of sexual stimulation and without release, the stronger that gets, the more it kind of rises up. And it's meant to essentially send you out into the world to go find a mate. This is a completely natural urge. I mean, this is why we're all here. All of your ancestors at some point went out, found a mate, had sex, and that led to more people. Now, if you treat porn and masturbation as the same thing, and as the same problem, then this drive will rise and rise and rise. And then you go, oh, I'm about to relapse, I'm about to break my streak, so I might as well go all the way back to porn, all the way back to the most degenerate stuff I watch, all the way back to square one, right? Because, hey, I failed, I might as well go all out. Here's what to do instead. Make it your first priority to quit your porn habit. And for that period of time, for at least the first 30 days of being porn-free, masturbate however much you want or need during that time. Because remember, this is like cigarettes and food. Maybe you're addicted to cigarettes and you're overeating, but let's solve one problem at a time. The cigarettes, the porn is the thing that is super harmful to you and highly addictive. The first priority is to get your brain unhooked from this habit. And if you're still doing the other thing that's much less problematic while you're healing from the super harmful thing, who cares? So you're porn free and you allow yourself as much masturbation as you want. And after 30 days is a good moment to assess where you're at. Because here you can say, okay, now after 30 days, your brain is starting to heal, and that strong habit loop of porn use is starting to become weaker, and whatever replacement habits you're building are starting to take over. At this point, you can ask yourself, okay, is masturbation a problem in my life? And it might be. Okay, you can masturbate so much that it's a problem for you. You can masturbate so much that it's a waste of time. You can do the whole death grip thing, which makes you less sensitive and makes it more difficult to enjoy real sex. Masturbation can be a problem. But you might also be in a position where you say, look, I masturbate every once in a while and it's fine. And, this is not a problem I need to solve. The NoFap community tends to massively overstate the value of not masturbating and not ejaculating. And some people go off the deep end with semen retention and whatever as a form of reaching enlightenment or something. Listen, you can do that if you want to. But porn is the real problem. Porn is the thing that's almost guaranteed to be harmful to you. Get rid of that first and then assess your situation and decide, maybe you want to also quit masturbation. Hey, I'm not going to stop you from doing that, right? But do it separately. So if you've been struggling with NoFap, that is the first thing I would recommend you try in order to address this. And remember that even if you do want to quit both of these things, even if you want to do the semen retention thing for some reason, your chances of succeeding might be better if you do it in sequence rather than in parallel. Right? Instead of trying to do all three things at the same time. So I'm trying to quit porn, I'm trying to quit masturbation, and I'm trying to do semen retention all at the same time. Do them one by one. Your chances of succeeding doing them one by one are actually much, much greater than if you constantly try to do it all at once, fail, try to do it all at once again, fail, and so on. Get yourself out of that constant relapse loop. So there you go. This is one of the important ways in which the quit by healing approach is different from NoFap. Any questions you have about this, any comments or feedback if you try it out, whatever your experience is, leave a comment below. If you have questions, I read them all and I will try to answer all of them. If you haven't seen it yet, watch this video about hyperstimulation, which is one of the key reasons why porn is a problem, and check out this video to understand 3 important insights for quitting porn by healing.